for Halloween H2O.
They purposefully didn't want it to look exactly like the masks in the other films. I know that there was some rights issues at one point where they didn't want to have to go through the estate to get the rights to the shape mask. So they said, give us a close approximation that won't get us into any legal problems.
Steve Miner just was against this mask. For some reason, what he envisioned that the original mask was a completely white face with no expression, no features, which really is not what the mask was, but in his mind, that's what he wanted. And I'm sure that's what he told K&B that he wanted.
From what I heard, there was a screening of dailies, and somebody stood up in the middle of dailies and went, "That's not Michael Myers' mask." And all panic ensued, and then everybody started freaking out. Oh my God, what are we going to do? The mask isn't right.
So a call went out to me to sort of reinvent the Michael Myers mask from Halloween 6, but we had to sort of make it look like some of the material that had already shot on H2O, so we sort of lengthened the neck a little bit and did some minor changes to it.
I just know halfway through the film they said, we want to change the mask, and everyone was a little bit stunned because we had done a test and a lineup with all of the masks from all of the films prior to this about 3 weeks before we started principal photography. And they had chosen very specifically the mask we were using for the first half of the film.
Unfortunately, I think that they had gone behind Steve Miner's back, and he wasn't happy with seeing another mask appear on set without having it proved or looked at anything. So basically, he went to some of Stan Winston's people and had them sort of re-sculpt to hopefully encompass what he liked about the K&B mask and what Miramax liked about my mask.
All of these masks can be seen in the final version of the film, alongside a CGI mask that was used for the close-ups and scenes that could not be filmed again.
It wasn't like we were hired and then fired, and then John Buechler was hired and fired, and then Stan Winston was hired and fired. It was more like the mask took on a life of its own.
The ending of H2O appeared to be very final and brought closure to the series, but as the film had been a huge hit, this would not be the case. John Carpenter had stated in the past that one of the key themes of Halloween was that evil never dies, and several films later, this still held true.
As long as Michael Myers doesn't die, he's not chopped, he's not bombed, he's not destroyed, then anything is possible.
You gotta let this dry for a minute, Justin.
Okay.
I knew we weren't making the final film of the series, but I knew from day one that they had planned the next one, because I knew kind of what they had intended at the end to leave it hanging. And obviously it's a franchise.
Just as H2O's production was monitored under the watchful eyes of the World Wide Web, so too would the next film, Halloween Resurrection. Ironically, the film itself was a product of the internet age.
Michael goes to return home only to find that this webcam operation run by Busta Rhymes has been set up in his house. Of course, Michael shows up and havoc ensues and lots of blood and guts. Heads rolling.
Miramax had wanted to take Michael Myers out of it, and Mustafa insisted that it be another Michael Myers piece. So there was a lot of going back and forth between Miramax and Trancas.
Having learned this lesson with Halloween 3, Trancas International was opposed to the idea of a Meyerless sequel. The fact that Michael Myers was beheaded in H2O was hardly an obstacle.
And in horror movies, there's always a way to explain the ending of the previous movie. There's always a way to explain in the first 5 minutes of the next movie what happened in the last 5 minutes of the previous movie.
I had for a while been interested in doing kind of a reversal of the 1938 War of the Worlds Orson Welles broadcast, where people took a fictional event and accepted it as real. And for a while I thought about, with the advent of internet and kind of the voyeuristic look into people's lives that you see on the internet, I like the idea of doing something that people would watch and assume it was fake, and it turns out to be real.
The one theater that I was in, people were actually yelling at the screen. And I really think that that's something that's truly specific to horror films. You don't go in a theater in, like, you know, a Jim Carrey movie and have people be like, do something funny! You know, it just doesn't happen.
Not only was Michael resurrected, so was Rick Rosenthal, director of Halloween 2.
And what I wanted to do is I wanted them to release the movie with 4 different endings and not tell the public which ending would be in what theaters. And so, which I think would have been a really cool idea.
Rick never mentioned the 4 different endings to me, but I do say that the man is a saint for putting up with what he had to put up with, because I swear to God, it was like every 2 weeks they were like, no, we have a great new ending.
Jamie Lee Curtis returned once again to play Laurie Strode. This performance, however, would be her last, as both her character and storyline would be laid to rest.
Hello, Michael. I knew you would have come for me sooner.
You know, Laurie obviously has changed over the years. It's not like she's this little repressed virgin anymore. I mean, she's a weathered, tired, beaten down human being because of all of the things she has suffered through.
Originally, they'd wanted her to commit suicide. Jamie Lee didn't feel comfortable with suicide. Frankly, I didn't either. And so it's a much more dramatic kind of invention that we came up with. But it was always understood that she would be killed.
The death of Laurie Strode restored a certain purity to the series. No longer a boy hunting his sister, Michael Myers was now closer in concept to how he was in the first film. Less defined in his motives, he was now again truly the Shape. However, many felt that the concept didn't pan out, and Michael had lost his sadistic and playful side. He was reduced to a simple stalker, diluted and undifferentiated from other on-screen slashers.
That's when they totally forgot about filmmaking. They just said, you know what, let's just do a product. We got a target audience. What do teenagers that love Michael Myers love? They love Busta Rhymes.
I didn't know who was Busta Rhymes myself. I went home. I have my son. He was at the time 14 years old. And I said, Busta Rhymes. He said, Busta Rhymes? Oh, yeah.
Let's put Busta Rhymes in there and have him be cool and hip. Fuck the script. Fuck the suspense.
Busta Rhymes should not be karate chopping Michael. I have a real problem with that.
While the film's comedic elements didn't sit well with the devoted fan base, mainstream audiences welcomed them. The storyline warranted that the Myers house would again appear, and this was reconstructed in a studio in Vancouver. This time, the actor wearing the coveralls and holding the butcher knife was Canadian stuntman Brad Loree.
A gentleman from Fangoria magazine interviewed me, and he said, Brad, do you have any idea what you're in for once this film comes out?
Brad would get really nervous when he was doing stunts, and when he got really nervous,
we're grabbing each other and all this. And then the next day, I take a new girl.
I believe the desire to be frightened is as universal as the desire to be loved. We want to take the journey that allows us to survive what the people with whom we are taking the journey do not survive. I think Halloween, taking this full circle, is one of the best, has remained one of the best for what now, 25 years?
2003 marked the silver anniversary of the franchise, and even though the studio had nothing planned, the fans did. To celebrate 25 years of Halloween films, a convention was held in South Pasadena, the shooting location of the original film. Halloween Returns to Haddonfield gathered together cast and crew from the whole series and almost 3,000 fans from around the world. The internet fan base was now of a size where it could support such an event with ease, and ironically, it was Michael's internet adventures in Halloween Resurrection that accidentally started the ball rolling.
It wasn't until June of 2002 where the Resurrection premiere was happening. And the company that was putting the premiere party together, they said, we have 30 seats to fill, and we'd love for you to help us out. I gave away 30 tickets on my site in 6 hours. I had about 2,000 people send in requests, people from all around the world. I got all the winners, and I called them the next day, and it was like telling someone they won the lottery, the screaming, the jumping up and down, the, oh my God, thank you. The first person who won tickets to the Resurrection premiere was Paul Swearingen.
I, called Tony to thank him because I didn't meet up with him at the premiere. Just started a conversation. I said, we should do something up in South Pasadena.
What's amazing to me as a writer of it and producer of it is that 20-some years after we made the picture, there's still a huge fan base out there.
What's interesting are the people here. The people here are the most interesting people I've met in a long time. These people tonight are some of the nicest people, but the most diverse people I've ever met. There's actors, there's screenwriters, there's just people that are following the movies, and they just love to be a part of the movie, and to be part of the whole, and that's the fun part.
I'm here at the 25th anniversary convention for Halloween, and I'm having a freaking blast. See anything you like?
Most conventions, horror conventions, there are all these different things, and this one is poignant just for Halloween, 25 years. It's incredible.
Everyone that was there felt like you felt. They're there for the Halloween series in general, so it was just a great time. I couldn't say enough about it.
DJ Sorensen and Daniel Hayes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Some of the actors that you remember as a kid and brings back that moment, even the moment of fear when you first saw the movies.
Sheriff Brackett, ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Shepard, right here.
Morning.
But wait. Do you hear the voice? The voice told him, kill your whole family.
You know, it's totally insane. We have 3 new cheers to learn in the morning. The game is in the afternoon. I have to get my hair done at 5, and the dance is at 8.
I'll be totally beat. Sounds like you don't have enough to do tomorrow. Totally.
Not only were many cast and crew reunited, but the whole city of South Pasadena rallied around the event, from the authorities to the drama students of South Pasadena High School.
So how was school?
It was fine.
Annie, look. Look where? Over there. It's the guy who drove by so fast, and you yelled at him.
Hold on.
There's the hedge.
I think the spirit of the film and the spirit of the convention is reaching out to the kids, and they were just so excited, and it just made for such a different school year.
There's Annie and Lori.
Hey, buddy! Hey, Annie!
Right there. This is the drama department at Hanfield High School.
I've never been to a horror convention before, so I don't know what to expect, so everyone was pretty interesting.
Continuing the tradition, the fans didn't only want to celebrate the past, they wanted to look forward to the inevitable next installment.
I was wondering if you could tell us about the plot of Halloween 9.
Well, obviously we cannot tell what we're going to do.
Come on, we're all friends here. You can tell us.
Many of the fans submitted videos explaining why they wanted to be in the next movie.
And I have watched Halloween and all of the sequels again and again and again. I can tell you obscure facts about every Halloween movie, who played Michael Myers, information about the soundtracks, filming locations, you name it.
As you can see by my hair, I wake up with the same hair that Michael Myers has in the movies. Just like brothers.
See anything you like?
See anything you like?
And one lucky winner was selected by random at the convention to receive an actual walk-on role.
We have sequels that people enjoy because of the first film that creates it all. You never really can improve upon that or beat that, but I don't think that's really the point of it. I think it's a matter of, where it's entertainment for, people that fell in love with the first one. And it's because of the first one that they did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now 9.
I do sometimes wonder whether that kind of style of like the kind of the slow burn and the kind of the long build up to kind of like the ambiguous endings, kind of whether that would play with today's audience.
It'll be interesting to see if somebody can come back now with, with pure suspense and horror.
I think personally what they should do in the next sequel is have the mask come off and it is William Shatner underneath.
it's been a real challenge to figure out where to go with this storyline from here.